This person thinks that you are an exceptional human being with this energy of the solitary. You are someone that is incomparable to anyone that they have ever met. The feelings that they have for you romantically go to so many different layers of consideration within them that this is somebody that feels like to take steps further with you into romance and partnership will help to redefine in many ways what they've come to understand as far as commitment to another person, intimacy with another person, vulnerability with another person. It's like you're the perfect package. You're everything that they could have wished for or dreamed for in a potential mate, in a potential romantic partner. But there are these layers to you that they have gotten suggestions of or that they have experienced directly that have caused them to start to really kind of put you on a pedestal that is not unreachable for them, but is something that really represents just how exquisite of an experience you are for them. This is something that this person wants to help you feel raised up by their love, by their affections, by their efforts. This is somebody that doesn't want to ever have you questioning their motives or intentions. They don't want you wondering how they are feeling day to day about you emotionally. This is someone that is very mindful to kind of treat your heart with care. They see you as somebody that is a gift in their life already at this point, and the idea of what can develop further between the two of you in the future helps this person to feel and to understand that this would be an experience that if you were ever to go your separate ways, they know they would never meet anyone like you again. This is like a once in a lifetime experience. And so there's something where they're holding this kind of spark between the two of you very close. They are trying to protect the connection in whatever phase you are at with one another at this particular point in time, because this is somebody that sees long-term potential here, and they want to really take the time to get to know you on multiple levels before just taking that leap of faith forward, and kind of like diving in, going all the way with you. But this is something where they want to have consistency. They want to have steady evolution with you, because the more that they are experiencing you, the more that they are leaning into this emotional or heart space, the more that it is unlocking some kind of door inside of them that is helping them through what you are presenting, how you're treating them, how you move through the world. This is illuminating all kinds of different aspects and elements within them, strengths that they didn't know that they had, aspects of vulnerability or weakness that have now been brought to their attention in terms of like fears, or a bit of uncertainty about how to proceed that has surfaced, that's really given this person a good framework or a good map for things that they need to kind of work on inside of themselves, not just ignore these things and sweep them under the rug and continue moving forward, based purely on ego or like a level of sort of hubris or too much confidence. This is somebody that's like, in order to really seize the moment and have that true, lasting, long-term potential with you, I understand that because you're presenting in this very exceptional, very rare, very unique energy, that this is also an exceptional, rare, and unique opportunity for me to evolve concurrently with you in the experiences that we're having with one another emotionally and romantically, to also evolve as a person. So my shortcomings don't sabotage us further down the road. You may be somebody who, you take a lot of accountability for yourself. You may still be in the midst of like a healing journey or like a spiritual journey at this point in time. Maybe this is something this person's aware of, or it's just something that they can kind of like sense in terms of the rarity of your energy or your maturity or your kind of emotional balance within, self-care, like anything you have going on in your life that they know about or they're able to just pick up on energetically speaking, where they sense that you're in the midst of like a transitional period of time. But this is somebody that doesn't want to like wait for some kind of metamorphosis to complete. You might have dealt with people in the past that were sort of like, ooh, I can sense that you're going through something, you're in the midst of kind of like a transitional period, you're working on something, and they kind of like put the connection on the back burner, like, I'll check in with you later. Maybe this is not the right time. Like that energy of change and transformation, even just kind of like glow ups and the consistency of up leveling might have been very intimidating or a big turn off to people who were comfortable with kind of like not looking at their wounding, very stuck in the ego. This person, on the other hand, sees like, okay, you're a person in motion, even though there's, like a consistency about you, there's a groundedness about you, there's something in terms of like the light that you emit that speaks to consistency. But this person also sees that to progress forward with you, it's an opportunity, an invitation, and almost a necessity that they have to be willing as well to sort of face fears, cross boundaries and thresholds in terms of their own comfort zone. And rather than kind of like taking a step back from that or feeling very turned off or recoiling from that, this is somebody that's like, I feel the fear and I want to charge forth through it anyway, because I don't want to miss this moment with you. And if that's what it takes, if that's what it requires in order to like keep up with you or to, really kind of like move through kind of like going with the flow of this connection with the two of you, if that requires me to kind of confront myself in order to continue to show up for you, then I'm willing to do that. I'm excited to do that. It would be my honor to do that. And we also have life bringer. So you have changed this person's life in a very positive way. This is somebody that has already gone through a very profound transformation internally, quietly, kind of behind the scenes, something that hasn't really been sort of showcased in their outer world, but their internal reality, their emotional space, all of that green, that like heart chakra activation, ways in which they're kind of looking at previous partnerships, how they showed up in previous partnerships, how previous partners showed up for them versus kind of like what they're compelled to do in this situation, or what you are modeling for them is like the requirement of people that you allow into your life, that you open your heart to, that you date or you have romantic experiences with. All of this, even if at points it was very confrontational, if it touched on some wounds within this person, they've been working on those things, in the darkness, in the silence, behind the scenes, introspecting a lot. And this is somebody who would definitely say that since you came into their life, since the two of you started having interactions, they have changed for the better. They are feeling better inside of themselves. And it feels like this is something that, even if other people haven't really like noticed that or commented on that, or not a whole lot's changed in terms of their material reality, this is somebody who now sees themselves different when they look in the mirror every day. There is something that it's not just kind of like, okay, I'm feeding off this person's light and I'm just trying to, kind of mimic that vibration. And so now I've got a new little story to tell myself about who I am as I ignore the nature of my wounds. No, this is somebody, it feels like that something about this connection, maybe even just like the intensity of their feelings, or who you are as a person, that is so different from anyone they've ever met. There was a point of confrontation where the first instinct would have been like run, kind of like back off from this, block it out, shut it out. They may have paused for a period of time, but it feels like there was never any true disconnect between the two of you. And this is somebody who has since emerged from that. They've pushed through that. They've looked that fear in the face and they've chosen not to empower it. And they've taken steps towards you. They have reached towards you internally. They have started to show up or kind of adjust the way in which they are kind of putting pressure on themselves to perform in this situation, so that it's a little more reasonable, so that it's a little more doable for where they're at, like just in their life in general or emotionally, when you've come in and you've like shaken everything up for the better. But this is somebody that is like consistently growing in your direction. The thoughts that they are thinking about this connection, the fears that they are confronting, what has happened between the two of you, even the energetic exchange, and how that has provided some sort of light or illumination that's helping them to kind of backtrack, go into their personal history, go into the ways in which they had defined kind of their role in partnerships or other people's roles in partnerships, and how this situation is showing the possibility of something different, or the reality of the dynamic between the two of you is very different from anything they've ever known. This is something that on the other side of these like internal aha moments, these epiphanies, things that they're able to release or move beyond, or kind of like force themselves to not give in to that energy of fear and like, pulling away completely, running from you, closing out on this connection, but like they keep showing up, or they keep kind of like holding on to the circumstance and taking steps forward with you, sometimes big, sometimes small, but it feels like they've kept their eye on this situation. They kept their eye on the prize, which is you. And now they are at a point of seeing like, hey, this might have been, a period of time that was very difficult, very turbulent, very like confrontational, like I was having to confront myself in a way. After you've come into my life, and you've changed everything, my perspective on things, energetically, you may have definitely initiated kind of like a heart chakra opening for this person. And in order to step into the fullness of the love that's possible between the two of you, there's a need to kind of clean out the debris of yesterday, embedded memories, self-talk that was not accurate. It was like the product of wounding or other people's projection. There's been some sort of upgrade or up-leveling of that energetic center within this person that's been taking place, and likely has also taken place within you to a certain extent since you've come into one another's lives. And this person is now noticing the change. Like they feel better about themselves. They feel better inside. This process of kind of wrestling themselves out of an instinct to kind of like run from the intensity of this and instead charge forth towards you with open arms, with an open heart, with an open mind, opening their energy more and more to this circumstance. This has affected them very positively. They see you as a force for good, like a force of change for good in their life. This is somebody who has blossomed profoundly in the emotional space. Even if you've had experiences where, you've had to set some boundaries, or again, just kind of like the experience between the two of you might have really kind of touched on some raw nerve endings within them. It's kind of, it sort of raised their instinct to be very self-protective. The ego felt very threatened by kind of the abundance or the purity of love that's possible here. This is somebody that has kind of made that determination, like I'm gonna move through this. I'm not gonna miss out on this opportunity with this person just because something inside of me feels uncomfortable about it. They have moved beyond the place of perhaps feeling that sense of discomfort was some kind of a red flag, some kind of an instinct that was cautioning them about this circumstance. They're seeing now that kind of some elements of self-sabotage may have been at play in this circumstance up to now, or at a certain point. But this is somebody, it feels like, that has kind of like come up with some sort of strategy within to effectively move through those things, to disempower that fear based mechanism by kind of naming it for what it is. This is somebody that every time they kind of feel the intensity of this connection, this is somebody that is like calling it out internally. Sort of like, I see what this is. This is my self-sabotage. This is me running from wish fulfillment. This is me kind of second guessing the blessing of this opportunity with this person. And even just that moment of clarity and recognition, it feels like has created such an expansiveness, or such an upgrade within this person, that they're definitely, seeing that, again, you are somebody very rare, very unique. This is more than just an ordinary love story. The effect that you have upon them is very profound. This is somebody who has gone through an incredible transformation from who they were, or how they were kind of like holding on to the idea of love and partnership, or energetically, whatever was going on, like in that heart chakra, in that emotional body prior to you coming into their life. This is somebody that feels very liberated from those limits. This is somebody that has, kind of like shed a version of themselves internally. They feel better inside. Their energy feels better. They are more hopeful and optimistic. Maybe just about life in general, certainly about this connection and kind of like the long-term potential, or, sort of the fact that like continuing to push forward through fear and to fight for this situation, that it's in their best interests. This is not somebody that wants to walk away from this situation and always be sitting with that question of what if? What might have happened if I'd fought harder? for this love? What might have happened if I hadn't empowered that voice of fear, which made me uncertain about the intensity of this experience, emotionally or energetically? This is somebody that is definitely not looking in that direction of like, ooh, I don't think this is a good idea. They see you as somebody that adds a very positive presence into their life. And so this is somebody that wants to show up for you in more of like an open way emotionally, in order to, kind of like fulfill your energetic, your emotional, your actual needs more than they have up to this point in time, and certainly more than other people you might have dealt with before had done. Yeah, we also have the dreamer. So this person is definitely, thinking long term. You are their wish fulfillment, all wrapped up in this package that is kind of like in this present moment. You are an absolute yes to this person, but they see this situation as so much more than just its immediate point of contact. This is somebody that is starting to ask those bigger kind of questions. Where is this connection headed? Where are we going to be with one another in a year? What's going to be, the circumstance between the two of us in 5 years, in 10 years? They may be starting to kind of rethink or look at kind of like long-term plans they had made for themselves, their idea of sort of like, their position in life, or, if this is somebody that's single and they might have thought maybe love's further up ahead, further down the road, they're starting to say, no, maybe love's right here. And moving up further ahead down the road, it requires, holding this person's hand, you the viewer, like holding your hand, and we walk together in that direction. Maybe this is now an opportunity to make certain detours, to expand on certain dreams, something that they had factored only themselves in. They'd only been kind of like equating themselves. This is somebody that only maybe has themselves to really count on emotionally or actually. They're the strong one for other people. They don't have anyone to fall back on. Now there's a sense of like, okay, maybe there is a partnership that can develop with someone, with you, the viewer, where we can really be that support for one another, where it's not just I'm going it alone. I'm charging head forth in the direction of my dreams. I'm trusting in the process, or trying to like make my way in life as best as I can. But this is something that it's like, maybe we figure this out together. Maybe what that future or horizon that I've been navigating towards, maybe that looks like something different now, but because it includes your plans, your dreams, your desires. So this is definitely somebody that wants something a lot more than just a fling, than just a situationship, than just something very immediate in the here and now. It feels like this is somebody who's very mindful about kind of trying to infuse more of this kind of like upgraded emotional energy into the experiences with you. This is someone that you're going to see, they're going to be more thoughtful in terms of that communication. Something where if it had been kind of unclear about their intentions or their plans or their feelings, you're going to experience the opposite of that in terms of like, let me tell you, and then sort of follow that up with showing you through actions. This is somebody that's going to be starting to make plans for the future, not just kind of like, what are you doing right now? What are you doing this weekend? But they're going to start to, talk about things that are months down the road, 6 months down the road, a year down the road. They may start opening up about kind of their bigger dreams in life, goals in life, and asking questions like, so what do you want to do? What does that sound like to you? Something that kind of like gives you these indicators of, this is somebody that wants more than just the immediate pleasure, the immediate moment with you. Yeah, that's something that they want, but this is also something where they're trying to focus on, what do I need to do in order to ensure that there's like the greatest possible chance that we have longevity with one another? Because they don't want you to be somebody that is just a bright light in their life and then a fleeting point on the horizon. This person doesn't want you to become somebody else's blessing because they got too caught up in kind of the trap of now, the trap of the immediate moment, and kind of, again, like feeding polarities of fear, or even focusing and concentrating too much on that kind of personal emotional evolution and growth that is happening with them. They may have reached a place of kind of like openness within that heart space, balance and equilibrium within that heart chakra, within that energy center, where they are aligned very deeply with you, and it's brought their focus out of this kind of like internal world, or this internal process that they've been going through recently, and it's like, okay, let's inject this into the situations between the two of us And let's start to plan things in a very practical manner, in a very substantial manner, in a very concrete manner, so that we are moving in the same direction, so that we are of like mind and like intention, so that you understand that even if, that kind of like big milestone moment between the two of us exists further along in the timeline, that I'm looking in the same direction that you are. I have the same hopes as you do. I have the same intentions as you do. And hopefully our feelings about one another align, or can begin to align more beautifully and more deeply than they have up to this point in time. So, those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.